Hello guys, it's Karen, your crazy crafty dolly friend. And today I am doing a collab with the amazingly talented, sweet, generous doll friend, Marna and Deron. He also contributed to this over at Dolls Rescued. So today's challenge was all about creating dresses that our 16-inch fashion dolls could wear to the Renn Fest. This has been super. Oh, forgive me for the noise in the background. It is now like super. It was 82 here, so like the first real day of warmth, and my office is on the second floor. And although we have central air, it's not working right, so it barely gets upstairs. So I have to run my portable air conditioner, and it's loud. So I apologize. It'll be like this all summer long. But anyway, so we had this idea because we both love fantasy and Renn Fest and all that. So we wanted to do Renn Fair costumes. In fact, I think Marna and Deron might even be going to a Renn Fest this weekend. They go a lot to the Renn Fest. And yeah, anyway, so we each took an Ellowyne and a friend. So I have here Ellowyne. This is an older Ellowyne from about 2006, like close to when she was started, as I just found out and learned on Marna's live tonight, on the Dolls Rescued live broadcast tonight. Ellowyne was started in 2006 by Robert Tonner, and she's like 2006, 7, somewhere back there. She's an older one. And I bought her without her. They were selling her outfits separately. It was called Overdressed ? Anyway, so I bought her purely with the intention of sewing for her because she didn't come with an outfit. And what she's wearing is the medieval pattern for Ellowyne that you can get at Designs by Jude Fletcher Pattern Company. So if you want to make this for yourself, I do have some. It was a little challenging for me. It pretty much kicked my ass. Now that I understand how to put this together, it won't be so bad the next time I make it. But I was unclear a little bit on the directions, and so I messed up a couple times. If you can see down here, I hadn't understood the way the pattern pieces were supposed to be put together on the fabric before cutting. And so I made the entire thing too short, and then I had to piece the whole bottom part together and add trim. And it was, my fault, not hers. And I didn't, it comes with a hat, like a medieval hat design I didn't do. And I didn't put the trim on her neckline, but I did everything else correctly, as the pattern stated. And I did, it comes with, the pattern is for I cut about an inch. Let's see, what's a half inch? I cut off about 3/4 of an inch on the front, and in the back, I put the train on wrong. I did this train on the other side, like backwards anyway. And I didn't want to train anyway. So instead of like freaking out, I just cut the train off and made the whole thing even. But it's a really, this stand and Ellowyne are not cooperating. It's a really big, it's very big. It's beautiful. It fits her. I didn't put, me, I didn't do the snaps. I just have it pinned because I'm lazy. But it's a lot of skirt, and it had train. It had a bit of train down in the back. So, if you want to make the full kit and caboodle, it wasn't like a super long train. It was probably, it would probably drape about like this far, like about this far. But it's a very full skirt. And anyway, so and I just don't have room in as you guys know, my doll situation is out of control. So I don't have room to display it all with a big train right now. So, maybe at some point I will be making this dress again, 100%. So, at some point I might try to do it because I have to make one correct. And at some point I might try to make it with the train. Maybe if I get a velvet or something, that would be really pretty. The other thing is you're supposed to just sew some lacings across here. And I didn't want to do that. So I just went with a belt, and I think it looks fine. I just made a belt out of the same print as the dress. I wish I had made it. I made 2 lengths and joined them in the back. And I wish I had known that it would be I probably would have made 1 more length. If I had done 1 more, I like a long belt. This one's maybe a little bit too long, but we'll talk about her in a minute. So yeah, I love how this fits her. I think it's so pretty. I love how it came out. I'm definitely going to be doing this pattern again. Now, let's talk about this Tyler doll. So I bought this wig specifically for this challenge because when I first started sewing, and I've mentioned this before, what I really wanted to do was start learning how to sew historic clothing, especially medieval. But I don't want to spend the kind of money that it would take for me to buy enough fabric to suit my fit myself. So I'll start with dolls. So this was my first attempt at drafting a traditional chemise and kirtle. I did it in the traditional manner. The first chemise I did completely traditionally with, I'm not going to bore you with details. It wasn't quite working how I wanted. So instead of adding the underarm gussets for the kirtle, I simplified that. And I also I just widened the skirt piece here instead of adding side gores or gussets. No, gores. Gores are inserts of fabric that you put to widen or, to widen something or fill in space. So you can quite clearly see the gore seam on the front here. So traditionally they would put a gore in the front. Like on a chemise, they don't always, but they'd put a gore here, gores on the side, and then one in the back. Now, I didn't do the one in the back. The next time I make this, I will. I added the gores on the side into my pattern when I made this rather than the chemise. See, the chemise is a whole separate like night dress looking thing underneath. I made this out of a sheer cotton fabric called voile, V-O-I-L-E. But I did want to mention, for those that are following along in my sewing, for this I used cotton lawn, which is also a sheer as the lining, which is also a sheer cotton, but it's a little less sheer than the voile, and I actually like it better. Now, both of these are not cheap, but I'm probably I think I bought 2 yards on Amazon of the lawn. So, and if you have ever read any historical Austen time period novel, like romance novels or anything, cotton lawn is a fabric that they used in the early Renaissance to make those flowy, diaphanous, white, columnar dresses that they wore right around the French Revolution and the guillotine era, Anyway, so cotton lawn. So I do recommend that for linings. It's really nice, actually. I think, is that it here? No, that's something else. Where? Oh, I don't have any handy right now. Anyway, I'll talk to you about that in another sewing video. So, okay. So overall, I think I've almost got the pattern nailed down. I need to make a little bit more of an adjustment up in the arm, make the arms a little bit deeper, because on the thin fabric of the chemise, it was starting to tear. It's fine with the kirtle because it's a thicker fabric. And what I also did was, I made some eyelets by doing the traditional method of sewing around the holes, and they're kind of a hot mess because I was trying to use, instead of the crisscross lacing, I was trying to do the spiral lacing, which was common at the time. So it just goes in a spiral around, and I ideally should have see, there's an eyelet right there that I hand sewed. Ideally, I should have made twice the number and made the smaller holes like I did here. But when I first started making them, because again, I'm just experimenting, I was using a doubled up thread for the eyelet. It's basically like sewing a buttonhole by hand, except you're making an eyelet so that the lacing can pass through. But then I was like, it was too big. It wasn't as pretty. So then I switched to a single thread on my needle. And just regular sewing thread. I'm not using embroidery floss or anything. If you were making one for a human, you could use embroidery floss or a doubled up thread. But for this scale, the single ended up being what I needed. And I probably should have done, next time I do this dress, I'll do double the amount. Because when you do the spiral lacing, they're offset. So for a human, you would maybe do one on one side every inch, and then you would go up a half inch and do the rest equidistant. So they're staggered. They're not equal across like a shoelace. They're staggered at a diagonal. So I So I think the eyelets worked. I just need to make some adjustments in my next one about giving myself a little extra room for this front fold over, or add some interfacing just to give it a little more strength. I didn't quite have this going over far enough, and this doesn't quite, anyway, it's very slight alterations I need to do. So overall, I was super excited to work on this with Marna because I've been dying to start making medieval and fantasy clothing. This was the perfect excuse. And now I have the chemise pattern is pretty good to go. This is all pattern. I need to sort all this and put it in my folders. But and the next thing I need to do is I do have some like leather lacing from when I was making jewelry, but it's like lost in the jewelry table, which is buried. So I do want to make more, like eventually, not right now because I have some other things to sew, but in the, as I progress in my sewing, I want to make some really nice belts. I want to buy some, I could use the jump rings that I have, but I'd have to find them. But I'd also like to buy some buckles, and I'd actually like to make, I would say these are temporary, right? But I'd like to actually make some really nice accessories, belts and things that they can, and start doing some embroidery and stuff. So I have future plans for all of that as projects to do down the line. But in the meantime, this really was a lot of sewing. I won't lie. This dress especially, it's so funny going from Blythe and one Barbie to then sewing for the 1/4 and then doing it. This was smaller, but this one, man, this was so much fabric. Now I can't even imagine sewing for my Smart Dolls. There's Legion over there. I need to get them some new outfits. And I mean, it's going to take forever too. So, and I'm still slow with my sewing machine. But doesn't look at how pretty this dress is on Elle. This dress is just I just love the back of this dress. I wish I could display her so she's turning, but first I have to fix her stand. It's not staying in properly. Anyway, so yes. So thank you to Marna for doing this with me and giving me an excuse to dedicate so much time to these two outfits. Oh, and also I need to lengthen this. It's like a good inch too short. Or I figured this was more like a princess. This is more like of a working woman. So she doesn't need it totally touching the ground, but she needs it to come at least down to her toes. And the other thing is I need to find some shoes. I either need to buy or find some shoes that would be appropriate for this style. They didn't wear heels back then, so I'll have to fake it, but make something pseudo inspired or. But so again, thank you, Marna and Deron, because again, Deron did participate. He did add to Marna's project. So thank you, Deron. Thank you, Marna, for your time and this fun collab. And I'll see you guys soon with more videos. Bye.